Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Magically Cruising, the cruise podcast where we share our personal cruise tips and reviews to help you make the most out of your next sailing. My name's Kieran. I'm an independent travel agent specializing in all things cruise, Disney, and North America, and I'm joined by my fellow co-host.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I write about cruise and offer cruise tips over at Cruising with Kids and travel over at Mini Travelers.
So, and today, Sarah, you are currently not actually on a virtual background on Celebrity Apex. You are physically on Celebrity Apex. So how's that going?
Yeah, amazing. So I think we're day 4, I think. I've lost track of the days. You do, don't you?
Already?
And so I don't wait there. First day 1, yeah, we're day 4. And the weather is glorious. Like we've left the freezing cold UK behind, and the weather's been perfect and the ship's amazing. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, fab. Well, do you want to tell the guys a little bit more, first of all, about the itinerary you're doing then? Let's just start off with kind of which itinerary are you doing on board Apex?
Yep. So we booked this over a year ago, and the itinerary did change because we were originally doing Labadee, and it changed to Grand Turk.
Yeah.
But we started at Key West. Yesterday we did Bimini. We've got Porto Plata, which is one of my favourite ports
Yeah.
anyway. And then we've got Grand Turk, and then 2
Amazing.
sea days.
And we'll save kind of the port deep dives because we like to do kind of dedicated episodes around different cruise ports, isn't it? But I think we could just touch upon, because you shared some pictures of your time in Key West as well. So just kind of, what are your first impressions? Have you been to Key West before, or what are your
Oh,
first impressions?
I've never been before, and I said it in my social media post, but I've never gone anywhere on a cruise ship and not wanted to get back on the ship. But
Yeah.
I didn't want to, and the ship is amazing, but Key West is just another level. It's just phenomenal. I mean, yesterday we didn't even get off because we were exhausted. We walked miles and we did as much as we could in Key West, but it's just the most incredible place.
Yeah,
It's like stepping
definitely.
back in time.
I'm so envious because I did it on a fan trip with Virgin, and I'll never forgive them for this. Really, they scheduled a hotel inspection for the same day we were visiting Key West, so we kind of got off Scarlet Lady,
Right.
went into a hotel, had a tour of a hotel, then had a meal. Don't get me wrong, we had a lovely time. The meal was incredible. We got some amazing cocktails. Like, it was an incredible day, and they were like, "Okay, now you've got an hour to explore Key West." I was like, what? You brought us all the way here and gave us an hour to explore Key West. So I kind of marathoned down to the lifeboat buoy at the end type of thing, the most southern point of North
Yeah.
America, America type of thing, and I got to see some of the sites. Like, I went past the Hemingway House and things like that on that big long road, but
Yeah.
it was a very fleeting visit, and definitely I was like, this place is incredible, and I think Americans are very lucky to have that kind of easily accessible on their doorstep, because it's such a rich kind of cuisine, culture, scenic. It's just a stunning place to visit, isn't it?
It's just honestly, I mean, Chris kept saying, "You're so giddy." But I mean, there was art galleries. There was actually Wyland art galleries. So I mean, I love art. So I was in all the galleries. Then there's got a street. It's like all the crossings of rainbows. I mean, we need to do a whole
Mm,
podcast on it. But it was
definitely,
just the
yeah.
most phenomenal place, and it felt so safe. It was lovely.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's amazing. Oh, I'm so jealous. And then we won't touch on, but did you get off at Bimini then, or did you stay on the ship?
No, because I don't do beaches, do I? So, I thought there's no point getting off to sit on the beach. So we just because we'd done the day before, totally fell in love with Fort Lauderdale. Absolutely blew
Yes.
my
Oh, yeah,
mind.
yeah, yeah.
And I just thought it'll be all right. It won't be as good as Miami, but it's just every bit as good at Miami, but different. So we just done we walked miles in 2 days. So yesterday we decided we just cabbage by the pool and ate a burger, and then felt guilty for eating a burger, so swam 10 lengths.
Well, and that's the great thing about this, though, isn't it? Like, there's some great ports, and you do have that choice to skip a port. Like, I've never been to Bimini other than with Virgin, and obviously Virgin have their own beach club. It's technically Resorts World,
Mm,
so we did all that. It was part of the appeal, and we did a short cruise with Virgin, so it was Key West and Bimini. They were the only two ports we did.
mm.
So obviously Bimini and their private beach club was a big appeal for it. But I'm guessing there was no included beach club, is there, when you do it with another cruise line? You kind of have to either pay to go into a beach club or do one of the other resorts or beaches, isn't it?
Yeah, but it wasn't that bad actually. I think I had a quick look, and I think it was only $40 to do Resorts World. It wasn't expensive,
Yeah. No.
um, but we just thought, well, everybody's getting off, so might as well stay by the pool,
No, totally.
um,
Yeah.
to go and sit on
Yeah.
the resort. But I'd actually be really interested to find out about the resort you went to in Key West because we definitely want to go back and stay longer.
Yeah, yeah. I'll have to dig the name out because we did a whole meal and a whole inspection and everything. And it's
Mm,
definitely one of the more expensive ones because it's right smack bang. So where the ship docks in is literally across from that basically. So it has like literally, it was really lovely to kind of do the tour of it and see Scarlet Lady. Obviously, we're cruise fiends. Some all the locals are probably a bit like that damn cruise ship blocking the sunset type of thing. But I thought it was
Yeah.
amazing to kind of sit there and have a look out over the pool and see Scarlet Lady ahead. But a fun fact as well for those people who maybe are thinking of visiting it by land and not doing a cruise break, the cruise ships have to leave before sunset. It is part of the requirement of them docking, so they cannot block the sunset when they are
Oh,
visiting
right.
Key West. They have to be gone basically to obviously keep the natural sunset for kind of those people who are staying there and to not kind of ruin the ambience, I
Which
guess.
is
So that is
why
just
all aboard is 3 o'clock. That makes
yes,
sense now because we thought that's
yeah.
well early.
I thought it was a really interesting fact because I
All
guess,
4.
yeah, they do take a prime estate in downtown Key West type of thing, but that is the requirement. Then they have to be gone then to not block sunset because
Mm.
that sunset is stunning, and I love sunsets in kind of Miami, Florida coast type of thing. It's just stunning.
Yeah, I mean, Chris said the other day, and we the flight was oh, it was just a night. It's just you're squashed in, aren't you? And the
Yeah,
family in front of us had teenage girls, and there weren't anything wrong with them. They weren't horrible people, but they were just oblivious, and the kids were, like, leaning back in our faces. But
really
my one was jumping about in her seat, like, I nearly wrecked her over a seat a few times. It was well and I said to Chris, "Unless I'm going business class, I'm not doing this again." So,
is tough, isn't it? Like I don't like the way economy's gone now. Economy has gone too far. I
it's
think it's
horrible.
not as near
It's
pleasant.
horrible.
No,
And the gluten-free food you wouldn't give to a dog
really.
on BA. It's horrible. Yeah, it's just vile. So, I think now we've said unless we go business, we're just not doing it. So we'll probably do every other year, do the Caribbean, but because Chris kept saying it's just not worth it, this 8 hours, because it was just a nightmare. Um, but when we get it, you think it is worth it because in February and the kids are saying that it's 1 degree and, moaning
Trigger
about our
is
coldness.
such a difficult one, isn't it? Because the price of flights, international, long haul flights have gone through the roof as well. And
Mm.
the service, I'm not a fan of long haul anymore. I used to love long haul flights, but the little extras you used to get now are getting scaled back more and more and more. And now they've got rid of like
Yeah,
the 242 configuration. So you're now sat in a 343. So you're always sat with someone you don't know as well. So it's not like you can just even go, well, at least we've got our two seats type of thing. I'm not a fan of modern flying, definitely not long haul modern flying anyway. And as you say, it's pushing me more and more to kind of go about premium economy or up type of thing, just to kind of get that little bit of comfort and
definitely.
convenience back that I think has definitely been eroded. And it does put a bit of a dampener on my passion to kind of consider long haul cruising to the Caribbean because I know it's a first world problem. I'm very aware of this saying this out
Mm.
loud type of thing, but that's what this podcast is about at the end of the day, isn't it? It's like those little luxuries in life. We are very lucky to travel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't envy or look forward to long haul flying anymore. It has become a little bit. I think the airlines. I know why they're doing it. They need to maximize revenue because there is no money in flights either. But it's just not fun anymore to fly long haul. I don't think so.
Well, I think when we booked this, that there wasn't business available because, but premium economy was available for 600 more. And then I was like, I could buy some sunglasses and stuff like that.
Girling, like
So I didn't
it's
book
such a
it.
yeah.
And then I said to Chris, I'm bloody kicking myself because actually the value in that 600 quid after that flight. So I said, next time I say that, hit me,
Remind me.
whack
I'm
me.
the same. Like every time I'm looking at flights, I'm like, I'm not paying premium economy. I'm sorry, it's double the price. No, we could do another holiday for that much. And then I go back to remembering when I was last on a economy long haul flight. And I was like,
When
I
you're
would
on the
kill for
flight.
premium.
Yeah. So I'm not doing it again. That's it. I mean,
Mm.
the thing is, it's actually nicer to fly EasyJet in Europe than it is to fly long haul
Do you
BA.
get it's
Because you've got
crazy,
the
isn't it?
job.
Like when that's become
Yeah.
like anyway, he's one of my little bugbears as a travel agent of I have no control over how they're building planes. And I do think they are rushing more and more and more to fit more and more people on. The seats are getting thinner as well. And the comfort is just not it's
Mm.
not what it used to be. And I hate the whole thing of like when you see the 70s and 50s type of thing and they're walking around, they've got like fold out dining trays with like tablecloths and everything.
Yeah.
Like, we've got nowhere near that luxury anymore type of thing. And when the seat's broken, and there's no like in-flight entertainment. They're just like, oh well, like enjoy.
Mm.
Like
I mean,
there's no
the crew
alternative.
were lovely. They were really lovely, the crew. But they work hard, don't they? They work really hard. But you couldn't fault the crew. But the bloody food they gave that gluten-free meal, it was like but, and then we got to the hotel after traveling all those hours, and, it was cancelled. They basically said, "We've sold you've no room." "What do you mean, no room?" And she said, "Well, peop" she sort of she they were smiling, very passive aggressive and like, "Well,
Really?
really sorry about this, but there are people that are gonna arrive that haven't got a room, so at least we've got a room for you." I was like, "No, that's not good enough. That is not good enough." So she said, "We have got a ground floor," because 'cause I'd paid like £400 extra for this room to get
Re
this marina view and on a
Yeah.
high floor, king bed. So she said, "Well, we've got a king room here and it's on you've got a patio wall." So I said, "I'll look at it." So it goes down to the room, treks down the cases. I walked in, it smelt damp, and it was literally like trees all around this balcony. You couldn't even see the marina,
Really?
but it was next to a car park. So I went back to and I said, "No." So the manager come out
Yeah.
and he was like, again, quite passive aggressive. And I just said, "Okay, that's fine. But what I want you to do is help me to find another hotel because I am not staying in this hotel."
No.
And
Yeah,
he went,
yeah,
"Oh,
yeah.
right, okay." He went, "Well, you can do that." I went, "No, it's your responsibility. I've been traveling for 15 hours. I want you to find me another room because you're telling me you haven't got
Yeah.
the room I booked." Um, so basically, because it was Valentine's, the prices are doubled. So they just bonked us out.
We were chatting about it briefly, weren't we, when you kinda mentioned it. It's
Yeah.
really normal of the hotels, they do this. They will accept a certain amount of overage. They will take their
Yeah.
risk basically on people not turning up because there's always a no-show rate, always. This happens all the time in the industry and with, certain websites where they allow you to kinda cancel 24 hours before or cancel the day off type of thing if you're in the loyalty clubs and all that type of stuff. They just know there's a certain churn of people who won't turn up, so they will take a risk. And as you say, then if the price is better because it's peak holidays or there's an event that gets announced, they will just take a risk and bump you out if not and see what happens. It's awful and drives me crazy.
But it turned out to be, because it was Valentine's Day and the first day of this light festival. So obviously they'd put the prices through the roof and they'd sold. And I mean, it's a place that, there's yachts parked at the back of the hotel that come to dine in the restaurant. Um, but I just stood there and stood my ground, and they found me a room.
Shockingly, hotels, and again, I sound like I'm moaning about the industry. I'm not, but it's something that does happen more than it should. Basically, is
Mm,
hotels do this, and I get it.
yeah.
It's them controlling their revenue. I get it totally from their perspective. It's just not nice, though, is it? That you've got that long term plan, you've made that trip to get there, type of thing, and then
Mm,
that's your first experience of your holiday.
yeah, that's it. And I mean, the hotel was stunning, but it's just it's a risk booking it, I suppose, because that could happen. But yeah, it was perfect location and trauma. But then once we settled down, it was Fort Lauderdale was just the place to cruise from. I think stunning.
I say again, this I keep saying like we'll do other episodes on this, but we'll do another episode on Fort Lauderdale. So we've got family in Fort
Yes.
Lauderdale as well. So Phil's cousin lives there. So we've been not a lot, but we've been a few times type of thing. And I do think it's incredible. And whereby my passion for Miami isn't necessarily there. I like Miami, but I don't love it. I would happily do Fort Lauderdale. So it's quite going to be interesting to kind of hear about sailing from Fort Lauderdale versus Miami as well. How
Mm.
did you find that being different? Was it kind of a quieter, slower embarkation?
Yeah, it was just easier because Miami's chaos, isn't it? I mean, to be fair, we've never had a problem. Have I? I'm trying to think. Have I sailed from Miami? That was with NCL.
Mm.
But then the Royal cruise I did, that was Fort Lauderdale as well. So that they were both easy.
I've never done it myself. I've done Port Canaveral, Miami, and like you say, Miami's fine. Like I've got no issues. It's such a well-oiled machine. Getting out of it is a problem on
Mm,
that kind of disembarkation day because
yeah.
it's so busy. That can be a bit of an undertaking. But getting on board, it's pretty, well organized. And I guess maybe because we were doing Virgin and Virgin do a later embarkation, so maybe that early morning rush is a thing for the other cruise lines. But because Virgin is I think like 1:30 is the earliest you can get on board with Virgin. By that point, most of the other ships have got 70-80% of their guests on board type of thing. So maybe that was what worked in our favor with Virgin. But
No, it was seamless. We got to the port. We had a 11:30 check-in. Got to the port, and it was just straight through. It was just
yeah,
very like a very well-oiled machine. But the Royal Caribbean's the same. It just it's
yeah,
like NCL just felt like it was a night that took ages to get on and putting you in areas
yeah,
waiting, where you just smooth through, you go at your time, and we got on, and then you could put stuff in your room, even though they weren't
could
ready, which
you?
I
Oh yeah, it's
liked.
introduced now. Yeah, you can put your bags in your room now as soon as you get on board.
Yeah. Is Royal the same now or then, or just
I can't
Celebrity?
remember. I think just I've only seen it announced by celebrity. So your room may still be being cleaned, isn't it? There's a note that says your
Mm,
room is still being cleaned,
mm.
but you are welcome to leave stuff in there. So obviously, if you've got nothing too valuable that you're happy to dump down, type of thing. But you can lock the door though, can't you? So your door is locked. You get your C pass
Yeah,
type
the
of thing.
door's locked. Yeah, the door's locked, and you can access the safe, so we just got and I just did a quick video of the room before had wine.
It's such a nice, like, perk, though, because there's nothing worse than that embarkation day where everyone's waiting for their rooms and you've got all your personal belongings on you and you've been traveling, like, whether you've been doing it for the day or you've kind of come from a hotel the day before, it's not a particularly fun first couple of hours, is it? Kind of in that chaos of the
No.
first couple of hours. So the fact that you can just dump your stuff in your room and then, either just relax in your room or go off and explore is actually quite nice.
Mm. Yeah.
With Let's go back, and we kind of alluded to this in the last episode because we talked about loyalty and this and the other. But what is it that kind of appealed to you about picking this particular sailing? Because obviously it's a technically winter cruise in the Caribbean for us in the UK market, at least anyway. But what is it that made you decide to choose this particular sailing and this ship?
Well, I'd always wanted to go on an edge class ship, so I think that was my motivation. This was because I booked this before they did the status match, um, but
Mm.
it was just that. I mean, obviously, you found me a great deal, which helped, um, but it was just I really wanted to try the edge class ship, and I think then once we booked it, then once the match status. I mean, now it's the no-brainer that if we didn't go on another cruise line other than Royal Caribbean, we would go on Celebrity because we'd get a status match. And you do get oh, it's brilliant. Right, so you don't get this on Royal Caribbean. So, we was talking before about so you get all the events that you're that for your so I'm select. Um, so it tells
Yeah.
you all your events you've got. So you like your Eden, you've got wine
Oh,
tasting,
really?
a welcome party, there's a theatre experience. It tells you all that, but then it tells you on the back all of the perks and how to access it.
That's good because sometimes they kind of just hope you know your own perks, don't they?
Yeah, I'll have to put my glasses on to see this. Right there. Got your doors open. So like your laundry. So it says two complimentary pressed items, but then it says to get it, you just write select on your thing. So it tells you how to access it all.
Okay.
Show beverages. So, but I mean, they should do that for all cruise lines because it's brilliant.
We've talked about this so many times though about like Royal and Celebrity, and what they're very good at is they've just nailed the art of cruising. So
Mm.
kind of the whole embarkation, onboarding, muster drill, information, everything about it is just
Mm,
so well organized that if for some because they're quite overwhelming ships as well, and we'll talk a little bit more about the ship in a second, but they're quite overwhelming because they're so big and they've got so many features and there's shiny things everywhere type of thing. But you never really feel lost because everything is so well signposted and so well kind of instructed that you do feel like you can just get on with starting your holiday rather than kind of like, oh, how do I do this? And where's this? And what time do I do this type of thing? There's always people around to help you and kind of guide you into the right direction to make sure you're making the most out of your holiday.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, it is just very, very organized. And I mean, the weird thing about this ship is there's less people on more ship. That's the does that make sense? I've said it the complete wrong way, haven't I?
No,
But
definitely. It's a hallmark of like the Edge series, and Norwegian do it with Prima as well. And it's one of the reasons why I love Virgin, for example, as well. They kind of, for the size of the ship, they have less guests per space,
mm,
guest I can't speak today. Guest to space ratio type of thing is higher than it would be on a similar size ship with someone say like Princess. And I'm not knocking Princess; they're in the premium category as well. But you'll have a same size ship maybe on the equivalent brand as Princess, but you'll have less guests on it type of thing. So you get more sun loungers per guest, you get more
mm,
crew per guest type of thing. So that's why these cruise lines are a premium. They're charging you more, and
mm,
especially if you look at a Prima class on NCR as well as an equivalent, you're paying a higher premium to get on that class of ship
yeah,
because there are more crew and there's more space per guest type of thing. So you don't feel kind of smushed in, do you really, or pushed in
no,
kind of thing? You never. And correct me if I'm wrong. Like I didn't have a problem. We were at about 60% occupancy when I was on Apex. But I never felt like there was a struggle to get anywhere by the coffee shop. I never felt like the
no.
martini bar or Eden was busy. Again, I know it was 60%, so that's a big caveat there. But they don't strive to sell out and sell at full occupancy. They can run perfectly fine if they do, but that's not the kind of way they don't build the ships to cram them full either as well because they don't need to with the way they run the ships.
I mean, the welcome party tonight. So we'll find out then the occupancy because the captain tells you all that, don't they?
Right.
But it's like yesterday. So we were by the pool most of the day, and then when people started getting back on the ship, and the pool was a bit full, and I was saying to Chris, "Oh God, I wish I'd have swim earlier now because it's busier." But then within half an hour, the pool wasn't. I mean, like Royal Caribbean pools. Well, Oasis of the Seas wasn't, but on Odyssey of the Seas and Mariner, they were packed. And I wouldn't have even attempted going home. But, everybody was getting back on the ship 4 o'clock yesterday. I was having a swim because there was room to swim, and that's the difference. I don't go in the pools on royal ships that much, unless it's like a port day. And even though, yes, it was a port day, as soon as it started getting busy again, there was still space. There's still always sunbeds everywhere. There's loads of sunbeds. And like you say, you can always I went to the cafe this morning to get a coffee at 9 o'clock because we slept in. So I thought I'll just go and get some coffees. And they didn't have the queue.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
whoa.
It's that really clever spatial design, though, because if you think about coffee shops type of thing, you've obviously got Cafe Al Bacchio at the main buffet area. Then you've also got one as well down by the Martini
Yeah,
Bar in the Piazza as well. But then also you can also go to the one at Eden. I know it's got limited hours, but there's also another cafe
yeah.
in Eden as well. So you've got three different coffee shops as well. So again, even if you want coffee, you go to different places. You don't all have to go to the same coffee shop to get the only coffee on there type of
I've
thing.
not even been to that yet. I've not even been to I need to go and explore Eden a bit more because we've been on one floor. We had a few cocktails yesterday, but I've not even been up and downstairs on it.
It's a cool space, isn't it? Like that's why it's if you're watching the video version, that's why I've kept it as the video on the back on my backdrop. It's the one space that I think not resonated with me, but kind of I walked into and I was like, oh wow, this is
Yeah,
special, this is
it is
cool type of
retro.
thing. To
It's
kind of just
lovely.
walk in there and the way it just opens up type of thing. But then I don't know if you've seen it as well, but if you walk all the way around the back to where the glass is as well, there's like a walkway that goes from the lower floor up to the top floor, but it's all got seating areas around the back of it as well. So you can actually just sit there in the swinging seats and swinging chairs and everything, watching the aft of the ship type of thing. It's a really lovely place to sit with like a coffee if you're looking for a quiet space as well.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have a wander up there today and have a look round, and
Mm.
'cause, I just haven't I feel like I've not discovered all of the ship yet. I love the rooftop garden, it's just phenomenal. It's beautiful, and then they've got this
Yeah.
huge video playing, and it's just flowers. It's just so relaxing up there, and they come round from the bar and
Yeah.
take your orders, so the service is excellent. It's really good.
It's the sense of space, I think, as well, that I really liked when I was on board the
Mm,
ship. I was only on for 4 nights as part of like a travel agent training event. But you've got the sunset bar at the back at the top
mm.
as well. Then you've got kind of the rooftop garden. Rooftop garden wasn't running very well for us because it was in April, May time in the English Channel. So it was
Alright.
technically
Yeah.
open, but they weren't running service from it because it wasn't an outdoor sailing type of thing. We had one really nice day where we went to the sunset bar. But then you've got the main pool, which is obviously over multiple floors as well. But you
Mm,
can keep going forward. I think if you go too far forward, you end up in the retreat.
yeah.
So I can't remember. Oh, yeah, you've got like master grill, isn't it? So you kind of got the grill, and then
Mm,
you go into the solarium. That's what I'm thinking of,
yeah.
the other space. You go into the solarium as well, then. So there's still lots of different venues outdoors as well. So even if you want to go sit by a lounge, and it's really lovely that sunset bar for like a cocktail or two.
Mm.
As you say, the rooftop garden is really relaxing and is surprisingly spacious. But there's also lots of hidden alcoves as well, isn't it? It's
Oh, I
like a
love
little
it.
garden maze, isn't it, to kind of walk through to kind of find a little space to sit down in.
Well, we went yesterday and just got a sofa each because it wasn't busy, like, just sprawled out on a sofa each. And I was sat preparing on the social media. Just, people were bringing us over wine. It was brilliant. It's hardly surprising Chris is in bed, actually.
Paying for it now.
But no, it's been brilliant. The food, what blew I mean, the first day I got on, I went to the buffet because I thought, "I'm not gonna burger as soon as I step on the ship." I mean, you know what I'm like, I love burgers, but you can't eat them every day, can you? So we headed to thingy and I've got some paella, but everything's really clearly labelled for gluten-free. It's
Yeah,
really good.
yeah.
And like on Royal Caribbean, that to tell me what. But here on this ship, everything's labelled. So that was brilliant. The burger bar at the is it the Mast Grill?
Mass grill, yeah.
I thought I just went to see yesterday, and I thought they're not going to do it because nowhere does it. But yep, they were like, "Yep, not a problem. Give us 5 minutes, we'll get you a gluten-free burger." So I was like, "Yes!" And then the main restaurant again, all very clearly labelled, lots of choice for gluten-free. The only bad experience we've had was in Raw on 5, which she was very much like, "Yeah, you can't have any of the main meals." What do you mean I can't have any main meal?
Which is a shame, isn't it, when his specialty dining is the problem? Like, I
Yeah,
don't Phil, so we Phil, our feedback. I thought the food was lovely, type of thing, but I did get a bit bored of the main dining room on the 4 nights we were on because it was very, in my opinion, very repetitive. It was meat and veg, meat and veg, meat and veg.
yeah.
I heard that that's changed since then. We were going in that weird post-COVID kind of
Yeah.
bubble where budgets were a bit tighter and they were still recovering type of thing. So there was a lot of rumors going around that Royal had slashed their food budget per sailing type of thing. So there's a big rumor going around that that was why the food was a bit repetitive. The buffet, however, both of us have said, and as you say, for Phil and gluten-free, he said the buffet was the best buffet he's ever had on any cruise ship. And
Mm.
definitely, like, we were happier to dine in the buffet some days than we were in the main dining room. I've heard the main dining room has changed since then, so it's interesting that you say, like, the main dining room is you found loads of choice on there and
Yeah.
you found it quite excited to dine there.
I mean, I had one steak the other night, and when it come, I cut into it, and it was tough, and it was medium, but you know when you can just feel the fat, and I said, "I'm sorry, no, I can't eat that," and I usually never ever send food back, like twice
Yeah.
this week, um, but and I said, "I'm so sorry, but it's too fatty," and he took it away, and it was back within. It bought me another one, and they were really really apologetic, but that wasn't the choice or anything. It was just I had a fatty. You can get that. You can't
Yeah,
control
and
that,
that is
can
the
you?
luck of the draw with steak, isn't it,
Yeah,
sometimes? You don't know until you're cutting into it and eating it. Exactly. You can get a general
yeah.
idea, but you don't know exactly how fatty it is until you're eating it. But it's good that, and that's the main dining room on cruises, though, that if you're not enjoying something, you can always ask for something else. Like, that is one of the reasons why we love cruising.
And I love the Edge bar. That's brilliant.
Which one's the Edge Bar? Oh,
Is it
you
oh,
mean
no, the
you're on about
magic
the magic
carpet.
carpet?
Magic carpet, yeah. Magic
Yeah,
carpet. It's
yeah.
just brilliant. That's really good. And,
Well, do you want to
do you
explain to people a little bit more then of what exactly is the magic carpet and how does it work?
so the magic carpet is, not on the ship. It's it's like a big it's like a big thing strapped to the side of a ship that goes up and down, so it can be
Yeah.
used as a tender dock, and it moves up and I've never seen it move. It's always so far up at the pool deck, and then it's a specialty dining venue, and it's a bar, and it's just brilliant. It's so good. And you sit there, you've got all sea views all around. The service is phenomenal.
It's really cool because it gives you a different view of the ship that you wouldn't normally get to see on a cruise line because you're actually on the side of the ship, looking back down on the side of the ship.
Mm,
Not only do you get like an amazing view of the ship type of thing, but also as you say, like where you're sailing as well. So obviously you're sailing the Caribbean, so you've got amazing ocean views type of thing. But it gives you a perspective of the ship that you're not normally going to get to see.
yeah.
And I think as well to have something like that when you're cruising maybe in like Alaska or the Norwegian fjords. This is why the Edge series ships are like the top of my bucket list for doing the Norwegian fjords on because imagine kind of sailing through the fjords and sitting on the magic carpet, drinking
Yeah.
several many cocktails as I do, but having those views type of thing unobstructed by the actual ship itself, like incredible. The same with Alaska doing glacier viewing as well. And then as you mentioned, the fact that it can go up or down as well, so it makes tendering a lot easier. But also as well, it can become like connected lower down to the water for kind of specialty dining in the evenings. Like such a great concept. And this is what Celebrity is so good at. We've talked about it in the past when we had Leon on as well. Is what they do. They kind of try and just do unique designs and make
Mm.
their ships exciting to go on. And it's one thing I definitely love about Celebrity.
I mean, it's just stuff like everything lights up. So you know the
Yeah.
thing over the pool bar, and like yesterday afternoon, like the arches, not the wooden arches side, the other side, and they were all like green and
Yeah.
pink, and that was. I
Yeah.
mean, we hadn't even been up there at night. That's what we're going to do tonight. Go up there, um, and then you've got obviously the chandelier. I mean, that's incredible. We haven't even managed to get the chandelier show yet.
Have you
But
seen
we
it doing
heard
it? Have you seen it doing its show yet?
no, that's what so we're doing that tonight. I mean, you see it all lit up,
Uh,
but we haven't
yeah.
seen them when they're doing all the juggling, and so we're gonna do
Yeah, the
that tonight as
flaring.
well. It's just honestly, it's the martini bar. Those martinis are amazing. I remember it from last time, but it I didn't have I had the classic package last time, and obviously all the martinis are $17. But I'd say that I've definitely had my money's worth of upgrading just in martinis,
Really.
and like San Pellegrino and
This is the thing, and I've touched upon it in the bar episodes, and it's something we've talked about in the past. But obviously, if you book all included, you do get kind of the classic drinks package. But my personal perspective on it as a professional drinker, it is quite limited, the classic
mm,
drinks package. So you do have to upgrade again then to the premium drinks package. So that's what you've done this voyage,
yes.
haven't you? You've upgraded to the premium drinks, and it gives you a lot more choice, doesn't it?
It does it, and, I found that the, magic carpet and I don't if you look at their menu, there's one thing under the drinks package, um, and I think that makes that quieter, and I'm 99% sure that if they ask for something under, they make it because they will. But,
Totally. Yeah, yeah,
I think it keeps it quieter because of the menu.
yeah.
So we've never had well, we've never really had trouble getting a seat anyway. Um, but, like, on the first day, the pool bar was really busy, and we just sat in there watching it all at the bar, queuing. So that's really good, and no, so we I think the extras you get, like I mean, I had a Bailey's coffee last night, so those things are extra. You can on the classic,
Yeah.
you can have, like, club soda, but you can't have San Pellegrino. So there's certain things you get extra, plus it's anything over $11. So and I have tried the only place I didn't fancy any of the cocktails was in Eden, but
Really? That's the one I was like a magpie and I wanted to try
I think
everything.
they're more bourbon based, and I'm not a bourbon person.
Right, yeah.
So, I mean, they look nice, and I'm probably gonna get one just to take a picture of it. I don't think there was anything that I thought because they're $20, so you've got to pay the $3 extra.
Yeah.
But there's
Oh,
nothing that
really?
I thought, "Oh, I could
Oh,
drink that."
wow. A lot more.
But I will go one afternoon and just get one just to get a picture. Something that smokes.
Yeah. And I will add as well, and something that I took me, I think it was by night 3 that I learned as well, that you can just say to the bar, make me a drink with a whatever, or
Yeah.
have you got a rum cocktail you can suggest? And if you want a classic cocktail, so you want a mojito or whatever, again, on the classic drinks package, you can drink
Yeah,
totally
you
fine.
can.
Trust me, I had no issues getting
Yeah.
incredibly drunk. So it is possible. It's just if you're like me and you're a magpie and you love opening up a menu and seeing all
Mm.
the signature cocktails where they're bringing in obscure alcohols or liquors that you've never heard before, type of thing. That's what the premium drinks package caters more to, if you get what I mean. And as you mentioned, the martini bar is a prime example. You open up this beautiful, really funky design menu, and it's all these lovely martinis, and there's not a single one in there that's in the menu, at least anyway, that is in the classic drinks package. You can totally get a martini, but there's just the ones they're showing you and all the menus are generally priced above the classic drinks package. So it's not a problem. It's just something to be aware of, I guess. If you're somebody like me anyway, who likes signature cocktails and enjoys that side of drinking, at least anyway, you are going to find the classic drinks package a bit limiting.
And then I think it's $11 if you've got the classic package. It's anything above that. So it's
Yeah.
17. So the last time I came on, it was only $3 difference with the martinis, but now it's 6. So that's quite a
Yeah.
big difference. That
Yeah.
that adds up with gratuities, doesn't it? If you're
Hmm.
doing that, having those all the
Yeah.
time. But then like there's lots of drinks like say below for at the classic package level, which are
Yeah.
perfectly fine, and the bar staff are brilliant. And they look at the first thing they do is look at your package, and then like so when you're at dinner, if you're on the classic package, for some reason you get jug water, but if you're on the premium, they bring bottles over.
No, really? Okay.
Because I was like, "I'll just pour it out the jug with Chris because I have sparkling." And you could see the bloke was like, "Premium package," and they go like that. They go like that to each other so that they so it's
Get the good
so
stuff.
yeah, that's it. Well, the first day we sat down, he went, "Top shelf, your top shelf." Um, so yeah, so we've made the most of it.
Yeah.
Hence getting up at 9 o'clock today.
And it's one of those, like, it's such a first world problem, but it just depends on what type of drinker you are. Like I am, like I say, we've talked about it, joked about it so many times. I am a professional drinker. I love
Mm,
exploring cocktail menus. So it matters to me. I've got so many
mm,
customers, they're like, I'm a pina colada and that's it. Like they will drink the
mm.
house pina colada and they're happy type of thing. So it's not a problem. It's a problem for me. So
Yeah.
that's why I bring it up all the time. So how about your cabin, though? I guess. Sorry, jumping around, but because there's a
Oh,
lot of feedback and debate about the Infinite Veranda cabins on board the Edge series ships. I personally love them, but what are your thoughts on them?
I love it. When I first saw it, I thought, "Oh, I'm not gonna like this." Um, but I mean, I can't show you because the bandwidth won't let me have this. If I could show you on the video if it was working, wait, no, just you can walk past because oh no, just um, Chris has just woke up. Well, the doors are open all the time, and you've just got because it goes up and down. Right, let me try and
Yeah.
explain this for anyone that's not been on Celebrity. So you don't have a balcony. It's called an infinite balcony, and it's a bit like a river cruise where you have a window that goes down, and then it comes to balcony height. So your whole cabin, and you've got 2 doors that you can shut, so you can have it as a separate balcony, or you can just keep it open and it's part of your cabin. And when I first saw it, I thought, "This is gonna do my head in. I'm not gonna like this." But actually, you still get the equal amount of sun on the balcony. We've sat I mean, the first day we both fell asleep, and I was on the sofa, and I was getting the sun, where that wouldn't happen in a normal balcony, would it? Because you'd have the doors in the way. So no, I think it's brilliant. The rooms are really well, and again, when I first came in, I thought there's no storage. The storage is rubbish, but it's all there. It's just hidden. Do you know the only thing I really
As I say, we just keep finding more
yeah.
storage space. Oh, there's another drawer. Oh, there's another cupboard.
Well, the first night, honestly, I had the massive front bar. I was getting off because my hairdryer wouldn't work. I couldn't make my hairdryer work. My straighteners, my hair's curly, so I thought, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And anyway, that stupid box. I mean, what is the point of that?
Do you get it now? What we were talking about it. It's not designed for British plugs at all,
You
is it?
can't. So the hairdryers, that the only place the hairdryer will work in this cabin and straighteners is in that box in the Euro
Yeah.
plug. So you've got to use the Euro plug. So all the people in Facebook groups, because I was looking through the other night thinking, what am I going to do? Um, and even their hairdryer, where would that would only work? So that works over by the bed. There's not
Mm,
many plugs, is there? So there's a plug by
yeah,
one side of the
yeah,
bed, but not by the other. Then you've got a plug in the bathroom. But all of my
yeah,
plugs with all of my appliances with an American adapter don't work. But so you have to use them in
yeah,
the European plug, which is only one of. But the European plug is in that box and you have to bend the wire
yeah.
to get it in. So
Yep.
what you've got to do is get a deep. So I went out to the cabin steward and I'd been hysterical. And on the way out, I just literally washed my hair and slapped it back. And I just said to him, I don't know if the electricity is working because I could touch my straighteners. And he went, "No, no, right." He went, "I've got a plug." So he came with a really deep plug to put it in, and then my plug went on
That
top of
fits
that.
in so you can then.
Um, but I mean, you've got holes for the wires. They don't even line up with the plugs.
Yeah.
Who did that?
This thing. So if people don't know what we're talking about, and we've talked about it on pretty much every time we talk about an Edge series ship, the box in the room gets brought up type of thing. But they've got like a really neat, tidy box that kind of hides all your cables and plugs at least anyway, so that you don't have all those cables on the desk. But the problem is it's just not designed for British plugs at the end of the day and kind of our adapters and all that type of stuff. So it just makes it incredibly difficult to plug anything from the UK into this box, and you can't take the box away. So
Yeah,
you have to kind of jerry rig your charging situation to make it all work. And it's one of those like should be a brilliant design choice, but it's just not fit for every purpose. It's just fit for a handful of purposes. Like I can't charge my laptop, for example, because my power brick is too big to fit into it. So my power brick's hanging off the wall somewhere
yeah.
via an
That's mine is
international
over there.
adapter.
They're
Yeah.
too heavy, so they're like that hanging out. You have to keep pushing it back in.
You get hurried.
I thought like I'm looking at it, feeling sorry for it. It's like it's hanging onto the edge of a mountain. It's it's just ridiculous. That's my one criticism, and
Yeah.
the box should be a really good thing, but because we have
Yeah.
the bonded bits on the end of electrical,
Yeah.
but somebody put in a Facebook group that it actually broke her, because I've got the GHD. No, I haven't. I've got the Dyson Airwrap, but because it's got a real big plastic thing on the end of it. And she'd tried to get it in and it had broke it. So I was really shouting at Chris and I think you broke my air wrap, which they cost a fortune. Anyway, but you need a deep plug to sit it on top of it because if you try and
Yeah.
squash it into the box, it
You're gonna
breaks it.
snap the cable. This thing, and like it again, they talked about it so much when they announced the Edge series ship. They were like, "This amazing box, gonna keep all your cables neat and tidy, and you don't have to look at them." When they made such a big fuss about it, and it is on paper a great idea, but yeah, it's
In
just
reality,
not practical for
but I
everything, is
think for
it?
you, it'd be a really good idea for your clients that are sailing on edge class ships to find something on Amazon that you can send them a
No, that
link
fits
to.
it.
Yeah. Say
Yeah,
you will need
I'll
this.
have a look. It's such a big feature, and they are the main plugs, aren't they, in the room type of thing, other than the ones hanging on the walls, which, again, a lot of our plugs are too heavy now because of all the transformers are built into the plugs now for UK. So this is such a nerdy thing. We get into such niche topics on this
I
podcast,
know we
like.
do, don't we? But you don't go on holiday to have bad hair. You just don't. You might as well not
No,
go
no.
if you can't do anything with your hair.
What about entertainment then as well? So you mentioned briefly before we got on the podcast that you've been to the show in Eden. Have you seen anything else? So do you want to just to share with the guys what you did see in Eden, and then maybe have you been to the main theatre as well, following on from that?
Yeah. We did last night, but we didn't stay. It was like a Alice in Wonderland style show. I don't know. I can't even explain it. The 5 minutes I watched.
Yeah,
Now this is my problem with cruising. Not a problem. Chris doesn't like theatre anyway, so he's not bothered for it.
yeah.
And I mean, coming up to this cruise, I'd gone to the theatre twice a week for 2 weeks. So I see
Yeah.
good, great theatre all the time. So I started to watch it and thought it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
all
yeah.
right, but I could see that Chris was dying inside, and I just thought it's not for us. But everybody else was loving it. But it was more of an experience, I think, not a show.
Yes. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
we didn't stay for that. But to be quite honest, we've not. We are going to go to a show, and you mentioned it earlier.
There's a couple of headline shows. Chrysalis is the main one on
That's
Apex, at
it.
least anyway. That's the one they
Yeah.
always raved about. Unfortunately, I got off the ship before it. Or no, maybe I saw Chrysalis and his Tree of Life, I think. So I saw Chrysalis, sorry, and Tree
Mm.
of Life is the other signature show for Apex as well. So they're the
Right.
two that I would recommend doing. So they're house productions. One thing I will say about kind of celebrity shows that I've seen so far, they are very much kind of performing art style shows. It's a
I
very
like.
like contemporary performing art. So it's
Mm,
not a bad thing, and they do it incredibly well. Like that theater
mm.
space is incredible. I love the theater on
I
board the Edge
can't wait
series,
to
but
show Chris the theatre.
it's not the most accessible entertainment, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
It's not a jukebox cabaret. It's not going to be something that, the run of the mill household's going to know. It's very much ballet, contemporary dance,
Mm,
performing arts, that type of stuff. So you have to definitely be into kind of like more that style of entertainment, I think, to
mm,
get the signature shows at least anyway.
yeah,
Everything I saw blew me away in that space. They do such a great job of using kind of the wraparound LED wall and kind of projections and all sorts. Like there's stuff happening all the time that even if you're not into that style of performance,
mm.
there's always going to be something for you to watch and enjoy at least anyway. And again, they're what 40, 45 minutes on board type of thing. So
I think we need to plan it really because we're rubbish on holiday at we're very good at getting off the ship and planning stuff. Then when we're on the ship, we're like, "Oh, let's go for a drink here. We'll just go and do this. Read our book for an hour."
maybe that's where we're different then, because I'm a weirdo and I
Yeah,
plan
you
my life
live way
before I get on board the
round.
ship. I know
Yeah,
all the shows, I know all
yeah,
the, and then I get off the ship and I'm like, where am I?
yeah.
What's going on?
That's it. We need to go on holiday together, don't we? So we get it right.
Maybe that's where we're different. Like, I like know all the bars, I know all the menus, I know everything.
Yeah.
Like, I know everything about the
Well,
ship. The
I'm
second
just
I get off, I'm
wondering.
like, which country am I in?
Yeah. So the other day we realised we'd missed Rockumentary, and that's meant to be brilliant. So we were gutted because we thought I'll watch it again because
Yeah,
well they do it twice, but they don't here. So we missed that. But then we've
yeah,
spent a lot of time in the Martini Bar where they've got great singers. So they've had a really
yeah,
two really great bands where we've really enjoyed those. The first night, just because of the jet lag, I think we was in bed by 10. The second night we were in the Martini Bar quite late, sat at the bar. So then they're doing all this stuff, aren't they? But we haven't seen that show yet. And then we do want to go to that show you said, whatever it's called, Chrysalis or whatever. Um,
yeah. There's Chrysalis and Trio Life are the two I know of, at least anyway. So definitely, if nothing else, head for at least one of those two shows because they're so impressive. Even if you're not into like contemporary arts type of thing, they're just as a spectacle, they're incredible.
I need to look and think, right, okay, what time to show? Because my life is ruled by when I'm having my dinner. So I don't think of anything else. And then I eat my dinner and think, oh, but we spend ages having dinner and drinking wine. So then and chatting. So what we need to do is think the other way around.
This is a bigger conversation. Is the downside to this new select dining that they now have, or flexible dining, is back in the old day of cruising, you would have no not you'd have no choice, but the show would be the opposite time from your dining
Yeah.
time. So it was a bit easier to plan your day out because you
Mm,
knew you were dining or you had time to watch the show. Whereas now, if you don't plan your dining time around when the theatre shows are, you're potentially going to miss it.
yeah.
It is a bit of a thing like Virgin, if especially because there is no set dining time, there is no fixed dining, and even show times are not consistent across the schedule.
Mm,
You do have to have a bit of a heads up of kind of like making sure you're booking your meals at the right time to make sure you do see all the shows.
mm.
But yeah, it's a downside, I think, now to flexible dining. Unfortunately, I prefer flexible dining. Don't get me wrong, but it just makes it harder to plan, theatre time around.
Well, you've just got to think, haven't you? And the thing is, it's all in the app. I just forget to look at it. I'm just to say that on land, I'm so super organised. I get on a ship and I just my brain tends to
Yeah.
mush and I'm
I will say though, it's a royal and a celebrity thing though, of the atmosphere on board is so good that even if you don't do any of those particular things, there's always something happening. So as you've said, like there's always live
you
music
don't
in the
need to.
martini bar, there's always singers,
Yeah.
dancers, or someone in Eden. If you go up the pool deck, there's always something happening, whether it's DJ music or something. There's always stuff happening everywhere around the ship. So sometimes just getting lost in the atmosphere is the best thing to do as well.
I'll tell you something that's completely different. It really made me laugh yesterday. And I hate pool games. But this woman rocks up and she's like, right, we're gonna play pool baseball. Well, not baseball, what is it? Where you throw the ball in?
Well, water polo.
Yeah, that's it. So she rocks up with that, and I mean, on Royal Caribbean, they'd have been all over that. I mean, we watched the belly flop on Oasis, and we were crying with laughter. And Like, we watched it from the suite lounge down with a glass of wine watching it, and we were above it, um, and the pool was packed and everybody was getting really involved, and I've always rolled my eyes a bit, but when we stood and watched it, it was really good. We were all really laughing, but we're on Royal Caribbean, everyone's all over stuff like that and water
Yeah.
polo. Literally, this one would come out with his thing, put it on the pole, went, "Water polo," emptied the pool. I was like, "Right, go for a swim." Literally emptied the pool.
Yeah.
People don't wanna do it.
No.
I quite like that. It's like there's no forced fun on this ship.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was, um, it was interesting to watch because it's completely different mindset of people that are cruising on it.
I will say it is a very different clientele, and even though they're sister brands, I think there is an overlap in service level and quality, but the type of atmosphere on board is very different, isn't it, between
It's an
Celebrity and
older
Royal?
demographic, definitely. Definitely not much older. It's
Yeah.
not like
Yeah.
I don't mean like Cocoon, but, probably our age
Yeah.
and up. There's a few younger, um, but on Royal, there was lots more in their 30s, 20s. So it was a younger age. So like our boys would, I think they'd like it on here, but they'd be more at home there because people were younger. And there's hardly any kids, but there are kids on, but you don't see them. But I suppose they're in the clubs I think there was 4 in the pool yesterday. So that's different where it's just yeah, it's a completely different environment.
It's a lot more chilled out, I think, and a lot more relaxed. Like, you still have the fun, you still have silent discos, you have the quizzes, you have all the type of stuff you'd expect to find on a cruise ship. It's just, it's not as loud or as
Mm,
lively. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, it's a lovely time. I love
mm.
Celebrity. It's one of my favorite cruise lines. It's just not as like, they're not trying to amp you up all the
No,
time, are they, on
yeah,
Celebrity?
they're
Whereas
letting you
on Royal,
chill.
they're always trying to amp
Yeah,
you up. There's always a dance class. There's always a
yeah.
thing.
That's it.
Yeah.
There's
Like,
been one
which is loved. I want that. I need
There's
that in
been
my
one
life.
pop quiz. There's more general knowledge. It's like, I'm better at pop. But, but it was 70s as well, which I think I was born in 72, but I'm better at 80s. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. It's a really nice atmosphere, and it's something that I'll probably, going forward, balance the 2 cruise lines now.
Well, I think probably once you hit your next loyalty level with Royal, you'll then be on the next level of perks, won't you, with Celebrity? So that's probably when it'll be worth kind of, you won't probably be struggling to choose between the two, I guess, isn't it? It'll be a case of picking the right itinerary and the right price rather than,
Definitely, because then you get your captain's drinks, and it's very organised in all the events. I just love this. It's like, "Look, this is what you're invited to this week." So we will make the welcome party today, but I don't think Chris is up for wine tasting. He's nodding his head at me. Kieran agrees with me. He
maybe
thinks you got a
tomorrow.
hangover. Too many martinis.
I see that ship's got great
Yeah,
stabilizers. Like, I think she's
yeah.
doing
He
good.
got up this morning, went, "The ship's really I feel really rocky." Like, it's not bloody moving. Like, literally, it's like the sunset's still. Oh, but no, yeah.
I've been there. I've been there many
Yeah,
a
you
time.
probably most days. No, it's a great ship. I can't
Yeah.
find fault with anything apart from Roar on 5 yesterday. I was a big disappointment. That's part of being gluten-free sometimes, isn't it? And, I've had that on every other ship I've been on.
Yeah, yeah. It's annoying when it's speciality that's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe it's not. Maybe it should be the case if speciality is limited and main dining room is where they excel at gluten free. I just get really irritated because we're foodies. We love dining
Mm.
in
Yeah.
speciality as well. So it's annoying when we then finally pay for it, especially when it's not cheap as well.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's
and then
rubbish.
they're like, "Oh, sorry, no, we've only got two options for you." Do you get what I mean? Like, and it does annoy it annoys me because I've got to listen to Phil moan about it for the next two
Mm.
years, which Phil is still complaining about the food on Apex 2 years later. And I was like, babes, it's no different than any other cruise line you've been on. Like, you have the exact same number of choices, but for some reason he's got this bug up his bum that he had a really bad time at the main dining room on Celebrity, and I was like, no, no,
Well, look
the
at
same as
Oasis of the
normal. You
Seas. The
just forgot.
first 2 days in Oasis of the Seas, it was hideous. I mean, we were talking about it last
Yeah,
night. They bought me a jacket potato one day, and it was cold. It
yeah,
was like they didn't try it, and until I did have a bit of a thrombo because I can't do
yeah.
this for 2 weeks when I've paid for a suite. And then they were on the ball, and I think the best ship I've ever been on for it, I think it's Mariner of the Seas and
And
Odyssey.
smaller ships tend to be because the kitchens are smaller as well.
Yeah.
So as in the chef and the team can work closer together
Mm,
type of thing. I'm not knocking big or medium sized ships, but that's generally what happens because the kitchens are a bit smaller. There's just a little bit more kind of speed, as in
mm.
the communication's a bit quicker to get to kind of chef, main chef, and all the
Yeah.
different tiers type of thing for him to kind of go, what can we do? What can we do? And again, this comes back to this whole damn side to select dining or freestyle
Mm,
dining type of thing, because you're not dining at the same time every day, the staff can't get to know you.
mm,
So if you're not dining with the same people at the same table every day, again, Disney is Phil's other best example. But again, we had the same wait staff on the same table at the same time every day, so they could prepare in advance for him. So they
yeah,
were ready to know that he was going to be dining type of thing. I don't. It shouldn't be like that, but that's the benefit of
mm,
that system at the end of the day, and that's
yeah.
why cruise lines do it, because they can nail meal service. This kind of now movement to freestyle dining does cause headaches for that of consistency problems, because they're not cooking. They don't know when they're cooking. They're cooking on reaction rather than planning. So it just
I'll
throws a bit
take
of a
some
spanner in the works type of thing. But
photos of the menus for you to show you because it's not on the app. But there's quite in the main dining. There's a lot of choice every night. I mean, one night I could only have 2 starters, but still, I mean, there's more choice than I've ever seen in a main dining restaurant. And they did come up and say, "Look, can we prepare you anything that's not on the menu? Is there anything else you want that we can prepare?" So there was that option. But I
yeah,
found stuff I wanted in every night anyway. So as I say, it was just a speciality dining that but the burger bar, I mean, I've never, ever seen a burger bar on a ship that said, "Yes, you can have a gluten-free burger." They always go,
really,
"No, go to the buffet."
really.
Yeah, I mean, P&O, it was like strictly P&O, strictly, there was no burger buns on the ship for me. Tough.
I
So,
just think it's shocking, isn't it?
yeah, so, I mean, well, I'd got to the stage where I started taking burger buns the other day just so I could have a burger.
And well,
But
I've been told, right? I've been told by the cruise lines, and they all say this, and I've never challenged them on it because I think, like, who's do I communicate this with? They've all told me, if you know in advance that you've got a customer with gluten free or a particular dietary requirements, or they want a particular brand of something, if you tell us in enough time in advance, this is the premium cruise lines now. We're talking
mm,
Celebrity, Princess, Disney. They've always said, give us enough notice and we will bring on food specially for that person. I'm like, well, it's in their file when they make the booking. You know how many gluten-free
mm,
diners you've got because it's all on their pre-cruise survey. I've been told anyway that if we ring up or if we send an email to the relevant departments and tell them that they will order food on specially. But I do think it got bad in that COVID period and it's
mm,
getting better again.
yeah,
Like I've noticed it's got easier and easier, and I'm hearing more and more positive feedback from various brands now.
mm,
Princess was a lot of negative feedback around allergies. The last couple of things I've been reading are gluten free on Princess. It's got a lot better because I think there's just more money back in the industry again now. They're kind of not trying
mm,
to desperately save money again. Cruises have gone up in price. We're recovering from COVID now, so I think there's a lot more money to spend
mm.
on things like making sure they remember to order gluten-free buns.
I think
Whereas for a
it's
while they were like,
inconsistency across brands though, because I tell a lie, Playmakers on Oasis, amazing. So that was always gluten free in there. But then on Mariner, actually, Mariner didn't have gluten free buns.
yeah.
So that is that
It can vary
inconsistency.
though, can it, by
Yeah,
ship?
that's
Yeah,
it. So I
because
suppose it
we've
depends on
had
the
it like
chef.
even on Virgin, and Virgin's menus are the same across the fleet type of thing. But we can go on one ship like Resilient Lady, and it was incredible for gluten free.
Mm,
Everything they were like, yeah, no worries, we'll change the sauce, we'll make the sauce fresh for you type of thing. Then we went on Scarlet the following year, and they were like, you can't have that sauce. And Phil's like, but I've had it on Resilient last summer. Like, yeah, no, it's not possible. They're like, well, why can't you do it? But your sister ship can't, and it's just purely down to the chef,
yeah.
the stock they can get for that port or what they
Mm,
bought type of thing, training. There's loads of reasons why things can be inconsistent between the same brand
mm,
type of thing, the same style of ship. It shouldn't be
no,
because you book the brand, you don't book the ship.
yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of reasons why these things unfortunately can become a bit of a headache.
I mean, saying that overall, I've had good experiences in all the cruises I've been through. There's just been
Yeah, yeah,
glitches,
yeah, yeah,
and I think as long as
yeah,
you highlight the glitches, not complain. Like I haven't complained about last night. I just said I'm not eating that, so she sent
yeah,
something else because she didn't give me what she said I could have.
yeah.
I think they just give me an easy option, which is what happened with my jacket potato and Royal Caribbean. But as long as you say
Absolutely, yeah.
you know, I'm just because I'm gluten free doesn't mean I don't expect a certain standard. Then they're on it. They're on your page. Then
I like flavors.
yeah, that's it. So what I'm gonna do is we are gonna do another speciality dining. So I'm gonna go to guest services and say, "Look, didn't have a great experience in Raw on 5. So can you tell them I'm gluten free? And if I have to order up front, then I will." And
Yeah.
then that
Sometimes that's worth doing. That's what they've told us with it. They've said to go the day before and speak to the head waiter, the maitre d' or whatever, and let them know you're coming in advance. They always, and again, it's just the things you just learn over time with cruising. You have to make a polite nuisance of yourself sometimes as an allergy sufferer, just to give them a bit of a heads up. So we had it. I was going to mention Holland America. The first day we went on board, nowhere in the casual eateries had anything gluten free, and Phil had again a bit of a tantrum, a polite tantrum, just said like, well, what am I going to eat for 7 days? Like, I can't just live off the buffet for 7 days, like for my casual meals. Like, surely you've got something on board the ship. And then 2 hours later, it was not even that, but like then one of the head, like the manager for the casual eateries on Holland's America came over, apologized, and like, oh no, no, the person wasn't fully aware we were taking a new stock intake at this port. It wasn't in the inventory yet, so at the time you asked, they didn't have it, but he wasn't aware that stuff was coming on the ship, so he was wrong. We do actually have a load of stuff ready for you, type of thing, because we know we've got more gluten free this voyage. So we've got gluten free pizza bases, we've got sandwich now, we've got bread, we've got this, we've got this. So it's just one of them. You sometimes have to make a polite nuisance of yourself to kind
Yeah.
of point these things out because they don't automatically do it for every single sailing. One sailing, they could have one gluten-free person, unlikely, but they could. And the following voyage, they'd have 30. Like they don't, every week is different on board a ship.
It's mad, isn't it? Because I mean, Joe works in a restaurant. He's a chef out by our son, and where he works, the whole menu is gluten free. And he said it's so easy because they've got gluten free fries, allergy fries, nut fries. He said we've got everything set up. All the flour is gluten free. I mean, it's like a high end gastro pub. But he said and they can do like, I mean, it's really busy. It's like 350 covers a day, but not like a ship, thousands, but they're completely fully geared up to it. So if they can do it, then surely more people can.
100%,
And
especially in the
there's one near
premium cruise
you,
category as
running. They're
well.
called Running and Price. The company. Look at their restaurants because they're all completely geared up for gluten free.
Definitely. In this day and age, it shouldn't be as difficult as it has been. And we now choose our cruise lines personally based on how good we know they are for dealing with Phil's gluten allergy. Because, and I get it, it's a big part of this holiday. He's a foodie. It matters to him at the end of the day. That's part of the reason why he goes on holidays to enjoy food. And the last thing you want to do is be living off the buffet and room service for the entire week. So, you
Definitely.
know, first world problems, but these are what we're about.
Yeah.
Just before we start wrapping up, then, what is your one thing that's blown you away? I guess just as a quick kind of wrap up of what's your first like, oh my god, wow, I love this class or this ship.
Um, all of it. I love the ship. The ship is stunning. The balcony, the cabin, I love. I love the rooftop, the pool. Having a pool that I can go in, that for me is a game changer. And that not knocking, other brands, but when the pool's busy, it puts me off. Um, and I like the fact that you're never going to struggle to get a sunbed. And for me, that's a real. When next booking a cruise, it's one of them things that's on my list that if I want to sit outside, I can. And having outside bars, phenomenal. I love that.
I think definitely for me, if I was to book certain regions like Caribbean, it would be a big factor for me as well. If I know I'm going to be in the sun and I'm
Mm,
not doing a kind of destination intensive itinerary,
yeah.
I would probably lean towards someone like Celebrity in the Edge series just because of that amazing outdoor space and that really intelligent design and the way they thought out kind of the onboard thing. But it's reasons why I booked Virgin as well. It's that
Mm,
whole guest to space ratio. You
yeah.
get more space, more pool space. You're not like clamoring into the one pool type of thing and fighting for some beds. It makes such a difference to your enjoyment on board. Well, I'm sure this isn't going to be the last time we talk about celebrity and particularly the kind of the apex. I want to kind of talk more about like once you've done a bit more time on board about the
Mm,
entertainment, I think it's worth kind of touching upon this again because I love celebrity and you love
mm,
celebrity as well. I think there's a lot more we can talk about,
yes.
but we try and keep these episodes to no more than an hour, which we're already over.
Yeah.
So if anyone is ever interested in sailing with Celebrity Cruise Lines, and then definitely I would love to help you do that if you're sailing from in the UK, you live in the UK, even that is. You can find me online anywhere under magical-traveler.com. All my social medias are magical TRBLR. And then Sarah, I know by the time this episode goes out, you should have some guides up ready for kind of your
Yep.
time away when you've been in Fort Lauderdale. I'm sure you've got that already planned and your kind of ship guides and things like that. So where can the guys find all your content?
So you can find us at cruisingwithkids.co.uk, and anything I've got done, I'll try to get done by the time this goes out. I'll pop a link to one or two of them below as well so you can have a look.
Other than that, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I'm going to see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.
Bye.